Imagine moving into a new home, excited for a fresh start, only to discover that your new residence is a portal to something ancient and malevolent. That's exactly what happened to the Hodgson family in Enfield, England, in the late 1970s. As the family's hopes for a new beginning quickly turned into a living nightmare, they would uncover dark secrets that had been buried for centuries. The Hodgson family had just settled into their modest house on Green Street when the disturbances began. At first, it was subtle. Objects would shift slightly, or strange noises would echo through the empty rooms. But soon, the activity escalated into something far more terrifying. Furniture started to move on its own. Chairs slid across the floor, and tables toppled over. The walls would creak and groan as if the house itself were alive. The family's 11-year-old daughter, Janet, seemed to be the focal point of these disturbances. Her room became a hotspot for inexplicable events. Objects would levitate, and her screams of terror echoed through the house. Desperate for answers, the Hodgsons reached out to local news, and soon, paranormal investigators were flocking to the scene. Among them were the renowned Ed and Lorraine Warren, who were known for their investigations into the supernatural. The Warrens set up their equipment and began recording, capturing astonishing evidence of the paranormal. Objects floated through the air, and eerie voices were picked up on their tape recorders. The investigators were convinced that something malevolent was at work. One evening, as the investigators monitored a live feed from Janet's bedroom, something chilling occurred. Janet, in a trance-like state, began to speak in an ancient and guttural language. Her voice was distorted, almost unrecognizable. The room's temperature dropped suddenly, and the walls seemed to pulse with an unnatural energy. Suddenly, the live feed cut out. Panic erupted among the investigators. They rushed to Janet's room, but found it empty. The room was a mess, with furniture overturned and papers scattered. Janet was nowhere to be found. The investigators scoured the house, searching for any sign of her. The temperature dropped even further, and an oppressive darkness filled the house. The walls seemed to close in, and the investigators could feel an overwhelming sense of dread. After hours of searching, Janet reappeared in her bedroom as mysteriously as she had vanished. She seemed disoriented, her clothes in disarray, but she had no memory of her disappearance. She only recalled a voice whispering promises of freedom in exchange for a sacrifice. The Warrens continued their investigation, but the haunting grew more unpredictable and violent. Rooms seemed to shift and change, appearing and disappearing. The entity within the house became increasingly aggressive, making its presence known with terrifying intensity. One night, during an intense session, the investigators discovered a hidden room behind a false wall in the basement. The room was filled with ancient artifacts, symbols, and ritualistic objects. The symbols on the walls indicated that the house was built on land with a dark history, possibly used for ancient rituals. It was clear that the entity tormenting the Hodgson family was connected to these dark practices. As the investigation continued, the entity revealed itself fully. It was a shadowy figure with glowing eyes, a terrifying presence that demanded the Warrens cease their efforts to uncover its past. It claimed that it would not rest until it had claimed the souls it was owed, a demand that sent chills down the spines of everyone present. In a dramatic climax, the Warrens performed a final ritual to banish the entity. The house shook violently, and the walls seemed to close in. The entity's voice grew louder, pleading for recognition of its existence and its dark history. The ritual reached its peak, and a blinding light filled the room. When the light faded, the entity was gone. The disturbances ceased, and the house returned to an eerie silence. The Hodgson family, now traumatized, decided to move out of the house. The Enfield poltergeist case became one of the most famous and chilling hauntings in history, leaving behind a legacy of unanswered questions and a lingering sense of dread. The house was eventually demolished, but the story of the Enfield poltergeist lives on. The true nature of the entity and the full extent of its connection to the house's dark past remain a mystery, a haunting reminder of the darkness that can lie hidden beneath the surface of even the most ordinary places. The Enfield poltergeist case is a testament to the enduring power of the supernatural and the secrets that can lie buried beneath our everyday lives. As you turn off the lights tonight, remember that sometimes the most terrifying things are those we can't see, and the past can reach out from beyond the grave to make its presence known.